the RV sign.
Nothing.
They don't have to match, they don't have to be the same.
You're right, ultimately,
One is just a basic welcome to RV. Very
Well-
simple.
you are right in that ultimately they don't have to match. The business association does not have to put up any signs that correlate with it.
But he has a big sound and lives his school.
Okay.
No, they are a group of people within our community,
Who are sitting on Mr. Demaio's committee.
along with every other community group within RB. There are every single community group, the major community groups is represented on our board. So that it's not as if there is one voice that is guiding all this. Every group is represented on this board.
Okay, Megan, you had, this is giving me speaker slip. You can do whatever you want. Clap your hands.
My first meeting, and I love this.
Yeah.
It's hard to get away.
Come to more.
3 children at the age of 7, so it's hard to get away like this. But my name is Megan Orvis Morris, I'm not related. I've lived here, minus college years and 3 years in the starter home in Escondido. I've lived here since 1974. I've known Kelly since elementary school, we're neighbors. And had it not been for a post that I made about this whole voting thing from RV Patch, thank you for your article, I wouldn't have known about the vote. I did see it in the paper, but was reminded by the RV Patch on Facebook, otherwise I wouldn't even know about it. And had I not reposted about how ridiculous that what it was saying was, then Kelly said, well, come and speak your mind, so here I am. And I didn't think I had too much to say, but I took a couple notes while everyone was talking. I didn't even know about the first vote with 270 votes. And that is a terrible number of votes. And we did vote again, there are 824.
I want to stop you right there. That was not for the signs, that was
Oh, okay.
a meeting of the minds to see if the community was interested in having any of these signs in the community, in the business district, and if they wanted repainting of the buildings and things like that.
That survey asked questions like, would you want the RB logo updated or anything like that? And that was a resounding no.
Yeah.
It was something like 90% of the respondents said, absolutely not, you're not touching the logo. So, and that's why that is represented in all of the signs.
Okay, good. And I think when we think about, and all these business signs aside, and yeah, if it goes that route, it would be nice to have them all kind of match, but when you get off the freeway, you see a sign. And that sign is representative of the community. Now, I'm a realtor here, I've been a realtor for over 11 years, and I'm in Windermere now, but I was at Prudential California Realty when they took that down and made a new one. I know what they went through and the hassles with the design to keep it a certain look. And now, when you look at those 3 designs that were there, I don't think A and B were very similar at all, actually. B was a beautiful sign, no question, reminds me of Del Mar, surf and turf. I mean, that was what it looked like. And on that note also, I couldn't really tell what they all looked like because the images were really hard to look at, but I did look at the bottom one, it looked familiar to me, updated with the like slate stack. Kind of nice update. Refresh doesn't need to be totally redo and reinvent.
Agree.
I think it's very traditional, but still updated. And I think if you think about the proximity to Bernardo Center, the look of the Mercado, which was also redone from when I was a child, I remember it. And all the businesses up the street, the sign C is the one that works. And another thing, with what it sounds like with keeping C in the new vote, if this does go to a new vote, it's like asking people if they want chocolate, vanilla, or strawberry, and you get everyone to vote for chocolate, and you say, okay, well, we know you like chocolate, but not by enough of a margin, so forget the other 2, we're bringing red velvet. And now everyone knows red velvet right now is like a buzz thing, so you might knock out really what the people voted for with some new design, and I don't think it's right to do that. And furthermore, I think if you're benefited to another vote, there should be some kind of model of it, or some more true-to-life image of what it's going to look like. I thought it looked not good. And as far as the internet, my parents are on the internet a lot, but they're not on Facebook really, and they didn't vote. They knew nothing about it. They thought it was out of my mind to waste my time at home, but this is a big deal to me. I've lived here basically my whole life. And there are ways to not spend money and not have to rely on the internet. We have a farmer's market every week. We have many places. We have RV Live coming up in a couple months, right?
True.
That you can tap into, and you know, people aren't reading the paper, and if people aren't on Facebook looking at Patch, they're not going to know. So I voted for C. Is 824 a lot either? I mean, did we expect more than 824?
I thought it was kind of a lot just because
That-
in our community council elections, we don't even have that many.
Okay.
824 is a lot, especially considering that we handicapped the amount of people who could vote by almost, essentially by household. By putting that cap to one vote per IP address, you drastically lower the total of people who could possibly take part in the survey to begin with. So it becomes a much more substantial number in that regard.
Anyway, I think it's a mistake to redo it. I think people have spoken, and it needs to stick, and it needs to be what it is, and what the businesses do if they are doing signs is one thing, but when you get off the freeway, when you have a landmark that represents a community that's going to end up in publications, wherever, on our website, that we might use for things about our community, it needs to look like our community, and that's key.
Jeff,
And-
would you consider having something like a heads off?
A table with a voting ballot so that people can just vote and stick it in there. For all those who can't.
That is a possibility. Now, that means we probably wouldn't be able to do anything online.
No.
Because one of the things we decided on was using a uniform method of conducting the survey. If we allowed people to call in as well as do the internet, as well as do a mail-in, then you allow people to vote multiple times with no way of us possibly being able to check it. So we had agreed that we were going to use one uniform method that we could try to control as much as possible.
So maybe just at RB Live, the uniform method.
Oh, it'd be RB Live or that's all?
I mean, I tax off, excuse me.
No, it's the RB Live. That would be.
No, RB Live would be, right, no, but hats off would be RB.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'd be
Harold.
allowed to get people from out
Yeah,
of town.
Harold,
Yeah.
Mr. Johnson.
Good, Harold Johnson. I'm surprised nobody's mentioned the election we had for the maintenance assessment district 5 or 6 years ago, that the business community did not like the results of that one, and that got thrown out also.
It was 8 years ago.
8 years, thank you. 8 years ago, and that was a mail campaign that went to all the homes. Somebody didn't like it, they got thrown out after the residents spoke, and another mail campaign was paid for, and by Matt or by the city or
Actually,
who?
Harold, the only reason why the vote didn't count is because the city made 3 mistakes when the voting came to place. Because we were also voting, Penasquitos was also voting at the same time, and the ballots were sent to the wrong residents, and then there were 2 other issues. So that's the only reason why the vote had to occur again, and because the city made those 3 mistakes, the city paid for that the second time around. That was the only reason, otherwise it would have counted.
Well, you know, I probably didn't know all those details at the time, but what you're really left with is the residents spoke, business community didn't like it, so it got redone until they liked it. That's what was left. We don't know the real details, I guess. You
No,
know?
I think it was in the paper at the time, but that was the main reason why it was done. And actually, just as a correction, it was the business people the first time around that were opposed to it because they were going to be charged more than the residents because they get charged more for the property. But the second time around, they actually voted for it along with the residents who voted for it. So that was why. So
I don't
it's
think
not,
the
it
bus-
doesn't pertain to this.
I don't think they're going to be ahead of the game if they go against the people on this.
Wait one second. Is there anyone else in the audience who has a comment before we come back to here and then move on? No? Okay, Carol, one last
No, I
comment.
was going to just say, Jeff, pretty much Carl's made this mind, this is the way we're going to go anyway. He would like to go, he's leading the separate, that there will be another vote. And so that decision's already been made anyway, et cetera.
We have asked that the committee change their initial decision from the last meeting to consider putting up a runoff. We'll discuss all these things at the committee, and I will actually, if you like, I know Frank is not here right now, I will express the concerns of this group to the committee at the next meeting. I'm sure Frank will be at the next meeting and will be able to, but if he is not, I can pass along all of these concerns, especially a lot of the ones that you brought up tonight. But to make the point very clear, our office is absolutely not going to support any outcome from this that is not based on what the winner of the survey will be. So whichever, and like I said before,